Careful. Cool. Some assembly required, but a lot less than the other ones. I understand why they called it this, but I feel like they should have run it past an American English speaker first. So it's matching to this, which is the sheath for my kukri that I got in Nepal last year. Very nice knife this. Had it camping a couple of times. Do recommend. So I made this on the Atom Stack X70, I think it's called. 70 watt laser, plotter, large, really nice. Well, nice laser. The rest of it's pretty good. The form factor's a bit weird, but it's a really nice laser. These ones remain to be seen because they're only like 10 and 20 watts respectively, but so yeah, I just need to match to this. This belt loop is what we're doing here. This is just like a stand-in thing that I ran out of leather before I was leaving Scotland. So I just chucked this on, these rivets aren't long enough and the whole thing's a mess, so I'll just like take these off, and this is me doing the whole thing afresh. So many lasers. So many cables. How do I focus this? So to tune this, I have to somehow reach up under there without seeing. I have to take this off, but then that changes the height, which then changes the tuning. Maybe I'm missing something. So it goes like auto down, then it hits, but then because the point of contact is over here, the whole thing goes glip. And so I have to manually come back up so that the thing's not twisted at an angle every time I put a different material in. This is not a good system. I physically cannot take this off without adjusting the height, which means that I can't reach in there without chucking my whole head in there, and this is like chucking my head inside a laser. This guy, some plywood. Pretty cool, you can like just see the laser beam. Seems fairly reasonable. And again, that's with it not perfectly focused. Just initially looking at this, the Laserpecker barely even burns the plywood. It really just like ablates it quite cleanly. Another form factor kind of, what is use case complaint that I have about the Laserpecker is it doesn't seem to have an off switch. You just have to just yank the power out, and the fan is just always on unless you yank the power out of that as well. Nope. It makes it louder. Okay, buddy. Okay, so next I will try them both with leather. I've got some Vegetan offcuts, and I'll just see which one does a better job, both for cutting and for engraving. I think they both should like engrave fine, but I'd be interested to see them go through 3mm leather. I think I'm going to end up really missing the Atom Stack 70 watt, which went through everything like it was just butter. These guys are only 10 and 20 watts respectively, but we'll see what they do. Hopefully they do the job well. So I finally got the part to cut and engrave into the Laserpecker software. There's no import option. You can only load and save its own format, but you can, which is terrible and bad, but you can under the clip art section load in custom clip art, which is basically an image that it comes to the wrong size, but it's got like numerical sizing up here, so it's not the worst. It's kind of bad. It's pretty bad. I don't like it. But I also got it brought into Lightburn, which I haven't managed to get it to recognize the the Laserpecker so far. It's been recognizing the Falcon okay, but this doesn't work with the Laserpecker's. Let me just unplug that goddamn fan. Shut up. Or one of the fans doesn't work with the rotary tool and slidey tool thing, but I'm not going to be using those for this anyway, so maybe I'll just try to get this going with Lightburn and do them both out of that. I think it's going to be more workable, but now I have to figure out how to get this to recognize the Laserpecker. Still have that name, by the way. Okay, Lightburn does not want to detect the LP5, so I'm going to be using the Laserpecker software itself. That's fine, whatever. I really need to clean this table, man. Look at this. Jesus Christ. I'm moving out of here tomorrow. I'm concerned how, like, I can see the blue laser through that cover, but not the safety goggles, which is... that seems wrong, right? It looks cool, but like... am I going to go blind? I'm going to put these back on. The engravement resolution is pretty comparable, really. Fairly happy with that, I guess. Especially since the laser has to cover that entire distance from the lens down to the thing without dispersing. I still don't know if I've got it focused properly. I just could not figure out that focusing thing, but I think it's just sort of fine to go as is. Alright, so let's try adjusting these settings and do that again. Glasses on, because this thing kind of terrifies me. It is very cool. Like, the futuristic factor of this is definitely like its best feature so far. But it does seem to like cut pretty well, engrave pretty well. Like, I'm not, again, like a lot of these, like the lasers themselves, like seem pretty good, and then the whole like ergonomics of them is like kind of where the questionability comes in. Blue laser, and it's got like the diode laser, which apparently is better for metals and stuff, but the blue is going to be better for this. Now I need to dial in the cutting levels. So this one's going to be interesting in that I think it's like going to cut on like a bit of a chamfer, because like the laser is like coming like out at an angle, whereas like plotter type ones like this, like the laser comes straight down, so it should cut vertically. So that's going to be interesting. Like, it's not super thick, the leather, like 3mm or so, but it's should be like a noticeable kind of like trapezoid kind of like shape to it, which is not ideal, but I mean like not the end of the world either. Okay, that's way too slow and it's on fire. But it is very capable of cutting through this leather, so you can indeed see the sort of trapezoidalness of the cut. Like, it's not so bad on those ones, but on the top and bottom it's got a real angle to it. So I'm happy with the engraving quality. I'm happy with the cutting quality. But if you need to take your part out, like, I mean, I could have put like guides in there so I could like put it back in if it needed to be like put back in. But I mean, like the atom stack also had that problem of if you take it out, then it's like you've lost registration on it. Whereas this guy having a camera, like, you can get like a housing for this which has a camera in it, so it's basically a pretty similar situation to the Falcon over there, but that's not what I've got. So I'm now going to like fix this basically in the Creality, just because I can, well, hopefully, we'll see, really clearly line things up. We'll see how we go. So I feel like the dot resolution on the Falcon is way better than the Laserpecker. I mean, somewhat better. It's better, certainly. But to be fair, I still don't think I've really figured out how to focus that properly. So it might just be that. Also, the color resolution's a lot better. It's a lot clearer. And that's just with like standard settings. I haven't really optimized that, but it's pretty much good enough to use as is, I'd say. So yeah, I'd say that's the win for the Falcon. But there's not much in it. I mean, both are fine. Both are fine. Boom. Butter. Yeah, much better job. Super clean, zero flame. Whereas the Laserpecker was like pretty much just blow torching through it. Like, it did it, kind of. I was really having to like crank it to get through the leather. And that's what I need to, sort of grudgingly. The Creality just like a scalpel. So yeah, that's it's a double win for the Creality. It's also huge, and like the other one's portable and you can hold it up against stuff, which is cool. Both have rotary attachments. I've only got the rotary attachment for the Laserpecker and the slidey attachment. I'll play with those later. I'm not going to do that now. To be fair, the Laserpecker is quite a lot faster. Like, I've got this set to not being super fast, but the Laserpecker was doing about the same darkness, with more ablation, so more power at a lot faster. This one could probably be optimized for more speed though, to be fair. I'm pretty much just using standard settings. So this one's coming out quite a bit, like this one's coming like out a bit more murky than that one, even though the settings should be the same. Not sure what's happened there, I might have to do this again, but I'll just use this one to size up for whether it's going to be the right dimensions for the belt to go through, and then I can just cut another one. This is like 5mm leather, so it's super thick, but that's not necessarily a bad thing for a belt loop, since it needs to be fairly sturdy. Yeah, having this like camera option so I can just plant stuff exactly where I wanted is so nice. I really wanted that for the atom stack, but I would have had to have built it all myself basically, and couldn't really be bothered. This is the first laser cutter that I've used which has that camera feature, and yeah, it's really nice. So it's full power, relatively slow, just making sure I go through the whole width of it in one cut, because I can't put it back in and line it up. The camera's not that accurate. think that's a full cut. I might just go back and do this circle again, maybe the one above it as well, because they don't necessarily look like they've dropped out fully. Yeah, sweet, nice. Yeah, perfect. So this smudging is just smudging. Okay, great. So that's just getting blown around by the air output nozzle. It's not actually a defocusing of the cut. The cut's pretty good. That then goes on there and folds around, and I'll wet form that so that it's all nice and square. And then that's the belt loop. So I just need to get rivets for that now, and also do the overcap one, but I'll wait till this is riveted in so I can properly measure exactly how big it needs to be. The fact that they even make this thing available without a cutting surface, I mean, this is, you know, stainless steel and it's making a bit of a mess of it. What it would do to just this plastic layer down here, oh okay, no, it is metal, but still, you know, I mean, you can just see where it's come off the edge, little marks, even just like with like quite light settings, it's still marked this surface. So to cut directly onto it would not be a good idea. You definitely want something like this. But this is actually from the Laserpecker. Didn't come with this. So just making a quick change, just beveling out these corners here, which I've already cut. I've aligned the camera a bit better, but it's still, yeah, it's still off by several millimeters. So what I just thought to do is wrap some paper around the cutting surface and just give it like a quick pass with the outline, and then without moving that, I can just place this directly exactly inside there. And now that should be perfectly aligned, all going well. I probably didn't invent this. This is probably common knowledge to people who actually do this, but it's new to me. So overall, just comparing the two as laser cutter, laser engravers, I think I do prefer the Creality Falcon. It's, even though it's a 10 watt as opposed to the Laserpecker's 20 watt blue laser, it's just a bit more nice to use. It does seem to cut a bit better. Just like the form factor and the enclosure and the general use of it, I'd prefer it. But the Laserpecker is also fairly good on that front. But one thing I haven't yet fully checked out is the Laserpecker's 20 watt infrared diode laser, which is apparently way better for cutting metal, which I'm going to be doing for a project I've got coming up, which won't feature in this video, but it'll probably be one of the next ones that I do, making props for the feature film that we're working on. So there's a couple of extra attachments, a sort of rotary, almost like laser lathe kind of thing, and a horizontal slider for increasing the working area of this one, which is definitely something which can be improved on. This one has a medium sized working area. This one's very small, but with this you can move things through it, which is definitely an upgrade, and also means that can theoretically, all going well, work on objects which are quite a lot larger than, I think it has like a 30 centimeter cutting area by like 15 or something, with the horizontal slider. But if you just like pick things up and like replace them, then structural kind of like support notwithstanding, you could have fairly arbitrarily long things. You just like do a section, move it over on the slider gantry, and just sort of like just keep on feeding it through. Whereas on this one, it's not really a possibility because, you know, walls and stuff. So I'm going to set up the slider now. I'm going to do a few quick tests on some stainless steel sheet, or foil really, 0.05 to 0.15 ranging in thickness, and see how it does with that. I'm not even going to try to do that with the Falcon because by all accounts it just does not handle metal at all well, and neither does the blue laser on the Laserpecker. But that diode laser apparently can handle up to 1 mil stainless, which is big if true. So assembled, put in place. Easy to assemble, but this whole kind of like everything's just loose kind of situation. I mean, it gives more flexibility because you really can, if you use it right, have more area to play with. But I don't want to be boring, but I kind of just like the ness of this one, that everything's just there and you just sort of just, you know. I mean, this is fine. Like, this is, I don't mind this. But, I mean, I'm hardly averse to like loose wires and general shenanigans, but it's still just a bit weird on a, you know, death ray. But it does mean I can do the project that I want to do next, which I can't with this, so yeah, fair enough. Hey buddy, how you doing? How you going? Apologies for the sudden lack of dining table continuity. This is a new house. I'm house sitting, pet sitting. This is Zach. Good boy. Bless you. Okay, just put a bit of paper in there. Super low power. Just see what it does. I'm thinking, Zach, you shouldn't be in here. I got glasses. You don't have glasses. So this is going to be really confusing for you, but I'm going to lock you in the laundry. Come on, come in here. Come on. Let's be a second. Good boy. Stay. Oh, poor guy. I'll get him in a second. Okay, so now when I press this button, what happens? Oh, it hit the bloody clip. Okay. I'm resetting. Okay, so now that shouldn't intersect. I don't even know how to really center this. I guess just by eye. Weird way of doing things. And also, like, the focus, I'm just hoping that just happens to be good when it sits where it's got clearance, because otherwise, how do you... It's such a long beam coming from the lens all the way down that I think focus just isn't really an issue on this. Like on the Creality, if you're off by a couple of millimeters, it completely changes everything. This just seems to be pretty much infinite focus. This is going to need to be, because otherwise it's just unusable. Trying to get that straight is such a weird way of doing things. But the slider's working at least, which is kind of cool. So now I'm going to use that with these 3 or 4 stainless shims samples that I got Let's see how it does with these. I'm very interested to see with the red laser. Let's see what this does. Now, since this is super reflective, I'm going to close my eyes because this terrifies me. Even with the glasses, even with the guard thing here. Yeah, terrified. That's the 0.15. So a fair bit of, well, a bit of heat distortion, but again that is on maximum. It's really like dotty, but I've also got on the lowest frequency, like 26 kilohertz, so that it packs like it's like a pulsed laser, so it like saves power up and then like dumps it all at once, which is why a 20-watt laser can cut through stainless basically. So a couple of changes to try to combat this heat buckling in the metal. Got it pegged down on all four sides and on top of a damp cloth. This could go any number of ways. We'll see what happens. So these two were cut with exactly the same settings, except this one with the wet cloth behind it and this one not. And the one with the wet cloth is way better. Like the non-wet cloth didn't even go through on the text, and like only about half on the shape, which is interesting. Not what I would have expected. I expected it to help, but I didn't think it would cut better. I thought it would help with the buckling and annealing, but yeah, those are about the same either way. Well, maybe a little more buckling on the non-wet version. That might just be because it didn't go straight through, so yeah, that's interesting. So even with the extractor hose facing out the window earlier, I wasn't really happy with cutting stainless steel inside, just because chromium and nickel, I don't want to get welder's fever. So I brought it outside and I've plugged in the air purifier filter box thing, and I'm also going to just take a step away from it while it's going. I'm not taking any chances. That's interesting. That last setting was like just on the edge of cutting through the metal. So it's like basically printed like a metal screen kind of thing. That's cool. But still kind of solid though. Okay, let's put my thumbnail through it. So I've attached the belt loop. I'm just wet forming it now, the veg tan leather, so that it's got the right kind of like channels for the belt to go through, whether it's worn in any sort of configuration. These rivets are super ugly and kind of painful to look at, but I just couldn't find snap fasteners with a stem long enough to go through 2 layers of 3mm leather. So I ended up having to use fairly standard snap fasteners. Although I wanted like a gunmetal kind of like sort of like grey bronze kind of thing, not these silver ones, but it's fine, doesn't matter. And then I had to use these like tiny little rivets just because it's the only thing I could find with like a stem long enough to go through, and then kind of just bash those together basically. And it works, like it seems strong enough and in place, but yikes. That's okay. So next I will measure and cut the kind of like retaining flap that goes over here, which snaps onto both sides, and then it'll be done. So that's it, pretty much finished. At some point I'll etch this design onto this top flap as well, but that pops out. This now connects onto about in a variety of ways. Through there, through there, through there. This still needs to be waxed or oiled or whatever. But it's wearable now, which is the main thing that I need. One thing I don't really love about the Falcon, it's like a minor point, but just this hose clamp kind of attachment for going on to the back exhaust port here. It's a bit fiddly. It either doesn't hold on or it's a bugger to get off. It's not really a sweet spot in between. And being like a spiral kind of wrap, it just doesn't really have a point to grab onto properly. It kind of gets crushed and it's not great. So I've actually been using one of the hoses from the Laserpecker, which is supposed to, so this clips onto here. This clips on and off, which works quite well, but it's also about the right diameter that it can just sort of be forced onto there and stays and seals okay. It'd be better if the one that came with it was similar, but it's a minor point, still that important. But that does also then mean that I can use the Laserpecker air purifier with the Falcon rather than just venting it out the window. And venting out the window works fine, but it's nice to have the option. Like this is mostly, well, I'd say this is mostly for metal, but actually this doesn't purify metal vapors. Then you just got to like only do it in open air and stand away, basically. So if you're having this just in air, like no purifier, you do without access to a window. Like I had to take the screens off the windows here and sort of move this closer to it so I could vent it out. And then some does blow back in as well. But it mostly works okay. But it's nice to have the purifier there just to take the smell off if you're burning leather or paper or plastic or fabric or whatever. So final thoughts, and excuse the disarray, I'm currently packing up to move house. Which of these should you get? It depends what you're going to do. I'm really glad to have both of them because between the two of them they have like very good functionality. The Falcon is great for just putting stuff in, cutting, does the job, pretty no nonsense, easy to use. The LP5 is just, it's a weird little dude, man. It's like very interesting kind of decisions made about the use of it, but the result is that it's, if you've got like a fairly fringe use case, you want to do some like weird stuff, then this is the only laser cutter I've ever seen which will do it. Like it's really nice that it can cut metal. It's really handy having the slider mechanism because it's unenclosed, so that can cover infinite span. Essentially you can pick up a thing and like move it across and then do that bit and move it across. This you're just limited to not even this whole area, like just that much of it. And the rotary attachment, which I haven't used for this, is also useful. Apparently you can combine the two, the slider and the rotary, so you can do like large cylindrical objects. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so between the two of them, you can do anything you want. If it's one or the other, it depends what you want to do. Normal stuff that, weird stuff that, both are really good at what they do, pretty well priced, and yeah, recommend the two of them. And bonus, they pretty much pack into medium-sized trundle luggage. Kind of. It closes. It's fine. Hopefully it won't get damaged on the way. Heavy.